Everyone, hope you're doing well. As you can see, weather's doing really well here today. Just thought I'd share this with you. Sorry, it's technically a load of SH1T, but as we know, that's what this platform HAPS, where I'm broadcasting from on their mobile and app version. Unfortunately, all they can deliver is this pile of poo. When you try and zoom, as you can see, it's nice and jittery. Well, it was earlier on. If I try and zoom out nice and gently, it's still too fast and not as controlled as I'd like it to be, or more importantly, as it can easily be if people decided to get off their assholes and actually develop this stuff not so much correctly, but more appropriately, I'll say, if it was developed just like the competition have developed theirs in an ideal way, something that's appropriate and adequate and suitable for the job. This is just a little toy, a game for people who consider streaming to be a bit of a hobby, I suppose, something they don't take too seriously. Because if you did take it seriously, I'd suggest you switch very quickly to an app called Switcher Studio. There's a good start. Go check out what they offer. It might not be free. Well, you can use it for free. There's nothing stopping you doing that, but they'll stick their branding on anything you produce. But Switcher Studio, just how beautiful that product has evolved. You can have graphics included on the mobile version on their app, and anything you would ever need from video production available on a very professional live video production app. That's switcherstudio.com for more information. And of course, full transparency, I have nothing to do with their business whatsoever, other than I'm a very satisfied and happy user at times when we need to implement a professional streaming solution. Why am I here? Well, I know you're here, and if I didn't from time to time appear on HAPS, you'd never know what the potential is if you just looked out of the box a little bit more. So instead we come here to enlighten you people. Others do a far better job than I'm doing right now, in as much as they enlighten you about their artwork, their creativity. Oh, I guess this is a different type of creativity. Look, if I try and zoom in here very slowly, see that jerk straight away? Oh, it's awful. I wanted to broadcast this in landscape mode. Of course, you can't do that with this app so easily. You have to hold the device landscape when you naturally want to hold a cell phone in the palm of your hand in a portrait mode. So wait a minute, why don't you make it so that when you broadcast holding your cell phone, your portable digital device, your mobile phone, why don't you make the app so that when you're holding your device in portrait mode, because it's the natural way to do so, not because I'm being awkward, why don't you make it so that the app complies with what you want? So you can either broadcast in portrait, as the device really wants you to do in the portrait mode, or have an option on the app so that you can change to landscape mode without having to change the orientation of your device. I hasten to add, when you change the orientation of your device using this app, you still don't know if you're broadcasting in landscape or portrait, truly, not until you look back at the broadcast, or unless someone else is out there watching live and telling you so. Hello, Warrior Granois. Thanks for joining me. Much appreciate the comment, however small it is there. Poor HAPS. Won't be long before they've gone. Well, as they are, they're not going to develop to anything more substantial. They'll either be bought out and someone who knows what they're doing will continue to develop the app in an appropriate way, or it'll just die like Periscope. I mean, it's really unnecessary HAPS anyway. You don't actually need it because you're broadcasting out to multiple platforms that exist already and where you can already broadcast directly to, such as YouTube and Facebook. So why the need to multicast, as they call it? Well, they're adding to the problem, for want of better words, themselves by creating a new platform. Why did you need to create another video platform, particularly when it's far more, you know, further down the list in terms of quality than those that already exist? It's like trying to reinvent the wheel and coming up with something that has four sides called a square and saying, hey, that'll do for now, until we decide to work out what we should be doing. Oh, no, that's right. The oval works better. We'll choose the oval shape because our research tells us it's far better than a square. Wait a minute. Why are the other guys using a circle? Let's have a look there, see if that could be potentially better. And then it turns out that it is. All the research has been carried out already, which is why it's even more of a disgrace that HAPS can come along and present you with this product in the lame form that it started out as. They'll be like, oh, we've only just started out, give us a chance. And all the supporters out there will be like, yeah, because they want to lick people's anuses. So they'll say, oh yeah, come on, Martin Shine, you're being unreasonable. These guys have only just started on this project. Well, trust me, if someone started on building a new vehicle today, you would not excuse them if they came up with a triangular wheel and suggested that you need 7 of them on the vehicle because 4 won't do. You know, fundamentals have already been discovered and decided upon, and it's been agreed that they work. Hello, Diva Dwarf, thanks for joining me. This guy has some good ideas. Pablo, if you were trying to bring Pablo in, the man that is supposed to officially know what he's doing, along with the rest of the team at HAPS, well, that's probably a bad idea. I had a conversation with said individual, Mr. De La Hoya, some time ago, because he requested it. And then when we entered the conversation, he chose not to answer some fundamental questions that I had. But unless someone can brief you on a situation properly, you can't really give any authentic feedback appropriately, you know. I hope that makes sense. You know, you need to know the purpose of a product and its goals of, you know, the team before you can say to someone it's shit. You know, I mean, let's face it, if you find out that the person who came up with the idea and the design of the user experience, the interface, is blind, for example, they've got poor eyesight, then you may be able to forgive them somewhat if the layout isn't quite right, and if they had to go and consult someone who has more 20/20 vision that can bring something better to the table, because the original ideas person is a bit well, impaired when it comes to their eyesight. But if you can't disclose that to someone, and if it isn't even a fact, then you can't really excuse the fact that the look of something is so shit. Well, I tried Warrior Grandma. Yeah, but it's gone beyond that now. This app needs to be closed down, quite frankly. Perhaps that is, because some people might be watching me on YouTube and Facebook where this is being simulcast to. And again, I mean, simulcasting, that's not exactly a new thing. You can go to restream.io. That's a fantastic organization, company. They're based in Texas in the USA. And the thing is, their product just works, whether you're on mobile or you're on desktop or any digital device. If you use Restream to restream your broadcast out to multiple platforms, it just works. From the very outset, it works. None of this crap about, oh yeah, we see there's a problem, we'll try and fix it. You know, everything obvious has been fixed. They have outages now and then. 99.9% is all you can ever guarantee. Well, you can't even guarantee that. The word guarantee never comes into anything in our life, really. But you can try to guarantee 99.9% uptime, as they call it. Like any product, you go to a restaurant, they can guarantee the food to be good. Try to 99.9% of the time, because they're always going to have a customer that's not happy. Whether the customer walks in and intends right from the outset to try and prove that that restaurant is failing, or whether genuinely they just made a big mistake on a certain day and they thought they cooked the food well, but they didn't, and they hadn't, and the customer discovered it when it was on their plate and they felt ill. So that's the 0.1% that we're all going to fail at some point along the way. You know, I'm glad you joined us, people, whether you're watching live on the replay. Always good to see people and know that you're out there. Best place to follow me is on Martin Shine Live Facebook page. Trying to be a better person when it comes to streaming more regularly now. Thing is, still looking for the solution. Haps isn't it. The only reason, and again, the one big problem with Haps at the moment, and they're absolutely being very, should we say, nasty, inappropriate. They're not allowing you to use Haps unless you broadcast from their app or their desktop. You can't easily broadcast on a different tool, such as OBS, if anyone's familiar with that. You can't produce your live video using a software that's similar to OBS, maybe Wirecast, and then broadcast to Haps. You have to use their app, which is crap. And when you get to the point that you got to with a user like me, as honest as I am, maybe too honest, some might say, you know, I'm not going to lick people's butts just to get on their good side when I know how they're getting paid to do a job that they're failing at. If you notice, Haps is very focused on building their community because they think that the numbers are important because then they can go to their sponsors. I think we cut off, people. It tells me here that the broadcast cut off. It might have reconnected, so I'll stick with it for a minute. Is Jimmy okay? Asked Diva Dwarf. Well, number one, Diva Dwarf, it'd be good if you could tell me that we are still broadcasting. I think we are actually recovered, surprisingly. Jimmy's doing good, as far as I'm aware. Yeah, I spoke to him, or I was last in touch with him probably about 7 days ago, actually. But I have to say that taxing things on my brain here that I really shouldn't have to be dealing with have been keeping me from staying in touch with such things and people as regularly as I should. They're like these broadcasts, really. Are we broadcasting still, Diva Dwarf? Please tell me we are. In some ways, I don't actually care. I don't, because the least time I give and content I give to Haps, that particular platform, the better. It's not worth my time. Even my device is now frozen. Oh, I love it. What a load of shit. Oh dear. Poor show. And it's no surprise that people will tell Haps that I'm wrong and they're lovely people and they're right and what they're doing is fantastic. And they'll lick their butts, you know, cruel to them. Because people do that in real life anyway, don't they? A bit like those who wanted the UK to leave Europe and now they wish the UK hadn't because of things that are starting to happen here when it comes to problems with companies flying employees. What about the global shortage of truck drivers? Apparently that's been caused by government. I'm not so sure about that, but yeah, those people, you know, who voted one way in the USA now wish they hadn't, with the corpse called Joe Biden in power, when they realise that perhaps their President Trump should have stayed president and that it was an inside job. I'm not suggesting I agree that it was or it wasn't, and either way on all that. I'm just saying that people are very quick to be a sheep, join the crowd. I better be with a minority. It's a bit like FOMO, fear of missing out. People are just afraid of standing up for themselves and just being truthful in a lot of ways. You should say your truth. Why should you back someone else's opinion, particularly when it's not a truth. Even if it is a truth, it's their truth. What about your truth? What you believe? Why doesn't everyone else back and believe you? Just saying. Oh, it's funny you should mention that, Diva Dwarf. It wouldn't surprise me if they try and cut us off, or there's something that stops our broadcasts when we're speaking truthfully about something, even if it means criticizing it. Criticism's good, you know, even for people like Jeff Bezos, Amazon. Criticize them, please do. He'll tell you that. He'll ask for that, because that's the only way you can improve things, is by any points being brought to your attention, and then you can either defend them, you can either explain to people why they're necessary, you know, or otherwise. Everything's open to discussion, that's for sure. Yeah, thanks for that, David Wolf. That was really helpful, by the way, that telling me that I'm back broadcasting. It's a bit disappointing in a way, actually. Then again, I would have probably think to yourself, well, hold on a minute, if he thinks he wasn't broadcasting genuinely, then that means he realizes he was talking to himself. And is he feeling well? He was prepared to talk to himself potentially. Well, yeah, because there was the possibility that I was still alive, however small. I could have said, Mark Goldman, you know, your idea stinks, and Haps is a load of crap, and the whole team are letting each other down, hoping that they didn't hear me, for example. But there's always a slight chance that they will hear you. So you have to be truthful. No point in being rude or aggressive or perfect, intentionally inflammatory and provocative. But you know what, you get to a point really where, as I say, it's really fun. Just go back to what I said earlier. Haps requested my time of day, which is invaluable. Can't put a price on it, not when I'm talking to people I don't really want to be talking with. They say, would you like to have a conversation with us? We'd like to get some feedback from you. So you give them your time for free, which I can't put a price on. And then when you have a conversation with them, they're like, they don't want a conversation. They just want you to monologue. So before you tell them that, you know, there's a button in the wrong place on the app, the first question is, how many people are working for your company? Because if there's only 2 or 5, then you can understand why things are taking a slow time. But if you are aware that there's 100 people, 1,000 people working on a product or a company, you'll be less forgiving and more inclined to lay into them and tell them the product is shit and so is their modus operandi, etc. But they weren't prepared. Mr. De La Hoya wasn't prepared to tell me how many people are working at Haps. So I choose to assume that there's many. I choose to assume that they have an abundance of money. And if we remember that there was an announcement some time ago that they had a few $1 million backing. So that's enough when it only takes a handful of $1,000 to actually create an app like this in a far better working state. There's no excuses. The guys don't know what they're doing. They're just playing around with other people's money. They get paid at the end of the month, their salary, and they're really not bothered. They don't realize that eventually the money will run out. And if I was one of their backers, I would be so disappointed right now. They haven't achieved anything. All this has been achieved before by other platforms. Periscope proved it time and time again. Periscope was the one that proved how great global broadcasts can be like this. But all Haps has done is prove that they can rob an audience when they have nowhere else to go. So effectively the orphans came to Haps because they had no choice. Well, they thought they had no choice because Periscope was being switched off. That was a brilliant thing that Periscope was switched off in one way, because it meant that people were less dispersed. They were either in Facebook territory or YouTube or Twitch TV, or the fantabulous Mixcloud, which we mustn't forget. They're great, those guys at Mixcloud. It's very early days for them. They have plenty of users, but they need plenty more. But their ethos is fantastic when it comes to copyright. We've been on here for 22 minutes. I've been rambling. No one else saying much else. It has a few issues, but it works better than Periscope. No, I don't think it does, David Dwarf. Listen, what can you do here that you can't do on Facebook? The one thing that you can do on this app that they'll repeat and remind you about is that you can gift to people. You can give awards, which people can turn into cash. But you know what? If you really want to back someone, everyone has a PayPal account, a Patreon account. There are other ways. It's not essential, Haps. The world wouldn't end if Haps ended now. Oh, well, I think Periscope. Haps has brought nothing new other than in broadcast awards and payments. So you don't have to leave the screen. I'll tell you the worst thing as well about Haps, yeah? When you minimize Haps when you're listening to a broadcast and it's on demand, you know, you're listening to the replay, a recording. When you minimize it, certainly on iPhone, on mobile, and you want to check your email, the broadcast stops, the replay stops. How pathetic. You know, if you're listening to a podcast or Periscope back in the day, if you minimized it, it continued to work, whether you were listening to a live broadcast, it wasn't interrupted, or whether it was a replay. And Mr. De La Hoya, bless him, he desperately tried to tell me that, well, there are costs involved. It's why there's a reason why they can't do that on Haps. Oh, there's a reason we can't do it. Why do you think YouTube make you pay if you want to minimize it and let it continue without being interrupted? That's what I was told categorically. So whether it's a financial thing, whatever it is, it's just I'm afraid the genie's out the bottle, in as much as other apps have made it happen. So now we expect it and we know it's possible. So what's the point in launching an app that doesn't have that functionality? So many people want to listen to a replay on Haps. Yeah. So get this, people want to listen to a replay on Haps while they're checking their email and just checking another few things, say the weather on their cell phone, or maybe Google Maps. There's one for you. Someone might be walking along listening to a broadcast, but then thinking, do I need to turn left or right down the next street or whatever, this cross street? I'll check Google Maps. You check Google Maps. You are, I was going to say fucked, but I wouldn't possibly use such language on here. Yeah, when you minimize Haps, then you've got to start all over again that broadcast once you've used Google Maps. Well, how pathetic. You see, there's no point. Been up since 5 a.m, so heading, so your head is sleepy. Okay, yeah, I know that feeling actually, Divadorf. I was up until 5 a.m. the last couple of days working, and I have to say the work went well. Ultimately, I achieved what I had to achieve. I wonder if they're achieving what they set out to today. I think the answer is yes. Just look at that, 3 people and a bird, a seagull there, but they're all just enjoying the moment, particularly the 3 humans, I think anyway. Oh dear, they obviously don't realise that people are watching. Makes a change from people sitting in front of their screens. Ironically, I say that when you're watching and listening to this, people. There's a difference, so you don't have a choice, otherwise you wouldn't be part of this if it's only available to you right now unless you have a time machine and you can join us here. But yeah, it's great when people take time out just to enjoy something outside their front door. You know what I'm saying? Ooh, there's more people. Ooh, there's these more people. Who are these more? The dog? Yeah. Oh goodness, this just stinks. Trying to zoom in on here with 2 hands on a digital device. Oh my goodness me. Waiting for my 7 p.m. Oh, am I going to sleep soon? Yeah, why not? You do what you have to, Divadorf. Remember, number 1, look after yourself. So if you need some rest, you take some rest. Obviously, there are times that you can't be too choosy, like if you have a certain time to be at work in the morning, or for that matter, if you start work in the evening, wherever you are. Plenty of people do. Look, it's getting busy here, by the way, on the beach when it comes to the seagulls. It's almost like they're expecting, I don't know, manna from heaven. Very noisy, these seagulls. This has certainly been unexpected, me speaking with you out there in this broadcast. I'm going to end it in a moment. I'm enjoying the fresh babbling because I've been enjoying the freshness of the air. Number one, you notice it's fresh generally, but when you've been in a city, as I have, like London, and you come away from that for a significant time, well, immediately, but I've been here for a while now, you realise ongoing that one of the pleasures and delights not being around the city is the freshness of the air. And these extra special October days that you just couldn't expect to have. We had some great summer weather about 2-3 weeks ago. Then for a few days it was very, very cold. And now it's warmed up again. But the cold weather will be back. The rain will be back over the next handful of days. Hey, it'll be Christmas and the end of the year before we know it, all people. Yeah. I'm glad you're going to have some time off of work there, Diva Dwarf. Spend it with family, you're going to tell me, aren't you? You're going to be going out and doing something along those lines, I'm sure. Thank you for watching, everyone. Thanks for being there. I will be back. I intend to be back as soon as I can, regularly streaming and live. Do follow me on Facebook, is the best place. On Martin Shine Live is the Facebook page. So on any browser, it's facebook.com/Martin Shine Live. You can always check out Haps to see if I update it. I will be here just because you're making me be here. People leaving comments make me have to return to respond, but I wish we were all together in a different place, quite frankly. And you have to ask yourself what you're actually here for. Well, the only reason I'm here on Haps is not to bring people here, it's because you're already here. If anything, it's to take you away from Haps, quite frankly. Let's get to the point. Yeah. I personally think you'll be better off on Facebook following me and all the people that I'll be speaking with soon, business people, creators, artists, and just people like you and me, wanting to be part of the conversation, literally, and make new connections on here, as we had some time ago, regularly. That'll all be back. I only watch apps when you're live. I usually watch Twitch. That's one place I might not be live at the moment, is Twitch. Should be, but I know there was a technical problem with Twitch recently, so I might have to attend to that in order to reconnect with it. But we're on YouTube as well. But yeah, Facebook really is where you. Why can't you get on Facebook and watch there? I guess it's because then you think, I won't see the comments, which at the moment you'd be right about. But soon we'll be broadcasting on, well, we'll just say Screw Haps, and we'll just broadcast directly to Facebook and to YouTube and to other social platforms by using another software such as Restream that allows you to multicast. And the fact that Haps doesn't allow you to multicast to it, that's their problem. They won't receive our content. Like, I'm bothered. Yeah. We didn't have them before. We didn't need them. We don't need them now. Particularly when your name's Pablo. You know what I'm saying? Oh, that sounded nasty, did it? Oh, it's just truth. It's just truth. Yeah, people actively reach out to you to be honest. And then when you're honest with them, all they can do is tell you bullshit. I'll leave you on that note, people, and say thank you very much for watching. I forgot you use Facebook as well. Yes, I do, Diva Dwarf, and you should be following me there. Please do. And when I go live there, you'll be notified, and all things will be good then. Go check out martinshine.live and follow. There will be some good content there, if nowhere else, once it is being produced. And hopefully that'll be sooner rather than later. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right, I better go now. thanks for watching. And anyone that wasn't watching, thanks for not watching as well, like we're bothered. And thanks for the ongoing support from the regulars as well. Thank you, Diva Dwarf. Yeah, I wonder if the other regulars will be back here soon. I wonder what ever happened to our friends in the USA. There's one in particular. And I say that because I know Diva Dwarf's listening and will know exactly who I'm speaking about. For someone who chose to flutter off into the distance because they chickened out in a certain way. Better leave it there, otherwise I'll have some explaining to do. I'm not prepared to do that. Not worth my time. Thank you. Bye bye for now, everyone.